Welcome to the Rotary Times Show, a public service program presented by Rotary District 7610. Funding for this program is made possible by the generosity of Rotary District 7610, Virginia. On our programs, we talk with Rotarians and community leaders and discuss how Rotary International builds partnerships to support local, national, and world communities. I am your host, Rotarian Dr. Deborah Jackson from the Rotary Club of McLean, Virginia. District 7610 recently welcomed a new governor for the 2021-22 Rotary year. DG Patricia Borowski, congratulations on your appointment as our new district governor.
Well, thank you, Deborah. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm just so excited to have you here today to share with the viewing audience who knows you from being a co-host on this program to now being one of the leaders of this district. So let's jump right in because there's so much that I know about you that I would love to hear you share with the audience. Sure. So let's start out by telling the audience about your unique Rotary experience and journey. You know, what prepared you to get you to this appointment?
Well, I think certainly my trade association background as senior executive in a national trade association for over 30 years and working with different service organizations, etc., does give you a sense of what being in an association is about. I think the second part of that is, like many Rotarians, I grew up in a household where giving back was certainly instilled in you and was a family activity constantly. So I have always been very project-oriented, which is very helpful as well, and also very service-oriented. So it was a very natural fit for me, and it certainly was community service that caused me to join my Rotary Club, Bailey's Crossroads, but it was Rotary's international commitment to eradicating polio that caused me really to become a Rotarian. Okay. And so those were kind of what set me up, and my husband was a Rotarian, and I enjoyed being the spouse of a Rotarian. And then I was asked if I would take a project on, and I did, and then they asked me to become a member, and I agreed, and that was about 9 years ago. So.
Oh, wonderful. When we think about Rotary, it is a place where you can bring those unique talents into the role and into the organization. So we definitely know that we are going to benefit from those 30 years of your leadership with an international organization. You know, that you can bring some of those tidbits to the table for us. But how about your Rotary journey? Yeah.
Well, I started in the club actually in the New Gen Youth Services area, which I really enjoyed, working with Jim Holcomb and our high school students and the programs. And then I moved from that to being secretary, and then I became president-elect and president. And I enjoyed my year as president. One of the big things when you're president-elect is you're responsible for a major fundraiser. So that was challenging because that summer our venues are outside, and it was tremendous rainfall. A lot of venues were canceled, but we scrambled and got new places. So you learn to adapt, you learn to reinvent. And then from there, I started to work on the district level in the youth services. I was asked to help out with several of the district conferences in the House of Friendship and other things. And then that led to being on the review for the Finance Committee, and so all of that led up to my involvement then to be asked to come and interview for the district governor position.
Oh, wow. You've had an amazing journey. And I remember the district House of Friendship at the conference because I was there with you on that, and we had a great time. But it's just so wonderful that you are, the kinds of experiences that you will bring to this district to allow the district to continue and grow will be very, very meaningful because you have other things to draw from to be able to do that.
Right.
DG Pat, talk about or share with the audience your vision for your year.
Oh, wow. Well, I guess I have two visions. One was certainly last year working together to develop a system that will really help and support clubs in developing competent and confident leaders and really understand joint planning and things of this nature. I think we did a pretty good job with that. I know that the people who come after me, Sheila and Renee, are going to do even better with it. But it was really exciting to see, even though everything was virtual, to see that class of president-elects really start to form a group and a team and sharing and enjoying meeting with one another. And that's a spirit. The second thing coming into the DG year is we're coming out of COVID. And there's really two things that we have to sort of manage, and that is one, everybody's excitement of wanting to get out. So you've got to have a plan, you've got to be able to be there and capture it, or their enthusiasm to do things is going to run you over. Yeah. But at the same token, we also have to appreciate that people are kind of fatigued. You know, it's kind of like you've been holding your breath for 15 months, and now finally you're exhaling. So my job is to get the clubs and Rotarians off that COVID couch, get them moving, get them active again, lose that COVID-15, so that by really coming into the winter, we're going to be fit as clubs, as Rotarians, and really be able to move forward and recapture that joy and that excitement about doing good in the world through service above self.
Oh my goodness. I know Team Galaxy, I believe that's what your cohort of club presidents are called.
Yes, we are Team Galaxy, one huge step for humanity.
There you
so
go,
there we are.
You go. It was great watching them, and you designed a leadership program that carried them into pre-pets, into C-Pets. And pre-Pets, for our listening audience, is that leadership program that helps them, builds their readiness to go into pets, which is pretty much a zone initiative into their roles as president, as you just said, to build those confident leaders. What did you think about that program?
Well,
this year?
I mean, we did that together as a team, but what helped was actually in our PETS program, as you know, we work with 3 other districts. So it's 7600, 7610, 7620, and 7630. And the PETS program, the DGEs are really the people that are in control of supposedly putting the program together. My class of DGEs really took that to heart.
Gotcha.
And we did a lot of surveying. We also had a wonderful Rotarian in our district, Steve Grisham from the Rotary Club of Alexandria, who was the research person for PETS. And God bless him, he saved all of this research over the years. And so we were really able to identify what frustrated participants. We asked past presidents what was the most valuable 3 things you got out of it, what were the 3 most disappointing things, and we designed a program in pre-pets that really did bring them up to and eliminated repetition in pets, and really had that be a part too. And I think it worked pretty successfully. We also made a commitment in our district to make sure that everything we presented at every stage of the 8 weeks pre-PETS program, the resources, the readings, as well as the videos, to make sure that we were storing them in the resource area on the district website, so that PEs could use that with their entire incoming administration and really plan as a team.
Absolutely. So you building the capacity across the admin, not the admin, but your president-elect teams back at the clubs.
Right.
Oh, wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Tell our audience about your style. You're hinting at it, but let's dig a little bit deeper. What's your leadership style, and what do you like about managing teams of people?
Well, first of all, to get to the last half of your question, I am always inspired and amazed at the experiences and the knowledge and the suggestions that people have. Sometimes they don't even appreciate the wisdom of what they just said. And so I think a team environment, you know, 3 heads are always better than one. I know a lot, but I know how much I don't know, and that scares me. So, but I know other people out there have that. So I'm very team-oriented, I always have been. And leadership style is really to give people a sense of the picture, the vision, talk about options of how we can get there. I don't step off the curb unless I know where I'm going. But how we get there is not linear. It can be a meandering path. And that depends upon, you got to meet people where they are, and you've got to help them see that vision forward.
Oh, wow.
I was going to say, one of my pet terms is, you know, a lot of times when you're talking about change, and I have been involved corporately in a lot of transformational change my entire career, actually, whether it's industry-wide, within agencies and companies and banks, or, you know, in groups. I've led that a lot. I always say, just let go of what is. And if you could control the world, what would it look like? What would it accomplish? What would be the benefit derived? And if we see that very clearly, then we can plan backwards from there.
Wow. And that's important when you're trying to build and work through a transformational process, to understand change that,
exactly.
and adult learning. You know, how does one go and manage adults? And that's what you're pretty much doing in a district that you have as large as that you have to manage. So that's going to be amazing, I think, your year, to see the excitement come from your president-elects, who you actually prepared them to do the work that needs to be done. And it's important work. It's great. I'm excited about that. Well, we're going to take a short break and be right back and talk more with DG Patricia Borowski from District 7610.
We've been here before, fighting the problems that fight back, because we see opportunities where others see obstacles. We're change makers and problem solvers, uniting over 1 million minds to address complex issues facing communities around the world, including yours. We're working together as partners and professionals, while making friendships that last a lifetime. We're Rotary, and there's no limit to what we can do.
Welcome back to the Rotary Times. We're here talking with DG Patricia Borowski, who is the new governor of District 7610, Virginia, for the 2021-22 Rotary year. That's a mouthful.
It is, absolutely. No
We're glad you're here. We're going to start back and talk about the Rotary brand, because at the district level, this is something you have to pay particular attention to as well. What can you do, or what will you do to help District 7610 grow and expand the brand of people of action?
Well, there's really 2 things, and I'm glad you brought up that banner of the people of action. number one, we do have to update our logos and everything so that we do have a consistent look. And so that'll happen this year, and we'll certainly encourage our clubs to review their logo and update that as well. The big thing, and I tell clubs all the time, my job is not just to talk to you and with you, but it's really to talk about you. And in order to talk about you, you have to share. And I know they're doing wonderful things, but we need to see that appear so we can talk. For example, 2 years ago, our district was recognized by the Literacy Council of Northern Virginia for the collective work of our clubs. And that collective work amounted to $70,000 in donations and many, many, many more hours in volunteer work. But we didn't know that. Fortunately, the council kept track. So it's those kinds of amazing stories that really does show. We're going to have a lot more focus for them to show them how they can do video of their projects and to live stream that. And we hope to have a lot more action shots on the district website, which has been updated, and Sheila Brennan has led just a wonderful project in terms of that.
And Sheila Brennan is the new district governor-elect.
Yes.
So she will follow you.
Yes.
Wonderful. Let me think now. I've had an opportunity to interview your previous predecessors, 2 of them, but you are part of a 5-year strategic plan. You're in year 3 of it.
Right.
Talk about that for a minute. How is that going to work, and how will you ensure that the district continues to move forward as a part of that direction?
Well, the first thing is certainly it was really started by past District Governor Jonathan Lucas. And his points of light, his endearing points of light, that is kind of our guideline to that. And then, of course, immediate past District Governor Harry Henderson added to those and particularly focused on membership growth. And that always is critical because we can't serve unless we have people who will help us serve. But this year, I'm appointing a district strategic planning committee. Okay. It's going to be headed by Sean Lumpkin, who is the immediate past president of the North Stafford Club. And he will lead a team of, I think, 3 or 4 people. And we're going to go out into our community of clubs, members, leaders, past leaders, and do a number of questioning and probing. And what we want to do is take the static format that people are pretty much used to in terms of strategic plans, very corporate, linear oriented. And we want to evolve that so that those strategic objectives are really expressed in people of action terms. And people can go, oh, I get that. I understand that. I could do that. And I think that will really, really help us continue. And of course, we're doing that together with Sheila Brennan, who's DGE, and then after Sheila will be Renee Laws, who is our DGN. And we're working as a planning team. Everything we're planning this year, and then what we can build upon from this year to Sheila's year to expand and add new things, and then similarly with Renee's year. And so it's a lot, but it's a lot of, I have to tell you, it's a lot of fun.
Great.
It really is.
I'm sure working with, as I know both of the next 2 leaders, I'm sure you guys have a wonderful time together.
A lot of laughing.
Yeah. So Rotary's leadership is called on every Rotarian to look at their clubs or Rotaract members to examine their communities that they represent. And I know membership is huge with you right now in terms of how do we expand membership to include a representation of the communities that we serve. How will you impact the culture of District 7610 to make sure that happens?
Well, first of all, I'm proud to say that in this year we have the most diverse district appointee structure that we've ever had, and that is really an indication of how the district and the population in our district has changed. It's not like we had to go hunting for people, they were there. And so the second thing is to really help our clubs understand community assessment. What is that process? How do you do that? How do you learn about your community? And then, and what are some of the significant things you need to learn? And then how do you take that back and say, well, what does that mean in terms of my club? A good example, for instance, is as clubs begin to return after COVID, one of the things that we tell clubs is you've got to look for a meeting place that is ADA compliant. I was kind of taken aback at how many clubs meet in places that are not at all ADA compliant.
Wow.
And what does that say to your membership if they need that kind of access at some point? And it certainly lessens the pool. I think the other thing is it's not so much, it is to go out and bring people in. But you've got to be cognizant of what are you bringing them into. And one of the statistics that's in our district is that over a 5-year period, new Rotarians who were under 38 will leave in a 24 to 36 month period.
Wow.
New Rotarians who come in that are 40 years old or older leave in a 12 to 18 month period. And that's because primarily they come into the club environment and it's not as advertised or it doesn't fit them. When you're younger, you're enthusiastic, you can see things that need to be changed, and you're willing to engage to help the club make those changes. By the time you're 40, you've got too many things to do, and it's like, if you haven't changed, I'm not going to try to help you. So people have got to be aware of what those things are.
Gotcha. And to that end, when we think about membership again and diversity, I know that was part of initiative this year. We also, I want to ask you, what would be your top priority as we think about membership as it relates to the diversity of our clubs, you know, in our communities? How will that fit into your administration?
Well, the reality is if you don't have a club population that reflects your community, number one, I don't understand how you will be as successful in understanding the needs and in understanding how to serve the needs. The desire is there that you wish to serve. But what's critical is understanding what are we serving and how best should we be serving. And I think the additional element that I talked to about clubs is we have a population profile that we share with the clubs regarding their counties or their cities from a picture of 2000 to compared to a picture of 2020. And unfortunately, a lot of clubs are like surprised at how their population has diversified. So it's really an issue of understanding, getting the knowledge, and then saying, okay, how do we put a plan together?
Wow. So tell us, what may be one thing, give us a little sneak preview of what the clubs can expect from you.
Well, I talked a little bit earlier about getting clubs up off the Calvary coach and, you know, getting them fit. And one of the things that we will be doing is a Get Fit for Polio program. People may know that I am the child of a polio survivor, and you know, can know firsthand of you only survive it, you don't recover. And eventually the secondary syndrome will be the cause of your passing. So we're going to do a virtual fit program. People can walk, people can bike, people can golf, people can even throw darts. I don't really care. But I would like this to be district-wide, so we do get visibility for Rotary. We're the 3 districts in Virginia, which for the first time will all be led by women, I'm proud to say. We are signing a joint letter to the governor to ask him to have October 24th recognized in the state as Rotary Polio Eradication Day. And we want the clubs to get involved in projects.
All right, thank you. Yeah. Well, as a final thought, how would you like your legacy to be described by others in 7610 or across Rotary?
I knew you were going to ask me that question. I guess it's 2 things. One is what I mentioned earlier, that is that I had a part in creating a system that supports competent and confident club leadership and club administrations. If you have that, you have everything. The second thing is I want them to recapture the joy of being a member in Rotary and the things. And with that, the awe of being in Rotary.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us. And
well, thank you.
I know I'll see you again because you're still going to be here with me, but thank you for sharing your vision for Rotary 7610.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. I know you're going to have a successful year. Funding for this program is made possible by the generosity of Rotary District 7610, Virginia. For the Rotary Times program, I am your host, Rotarian Dr. Deborah Jackson with the Rotary Club of McLean, Virginia. You're welcome to join us at a Rotary Club in your area for either breakfast, lunch, or dinner. You can find a club near you by looking us up on the internet. Many clubs are hosting meetings virtually as well as in hybrid formats. You just need to look us up to find the details. Remember, our time is your time and it's time well spent. Please join us for our next program as we continue to celebrate Rotary's 116 years of service above self.